Congratulations on the film.
Thank you so
It
much.
went premiere in Glasgow, didn't it? A few days ago.
Yes, so we had the UK premiere at Glasgow Fright Fest on Friday, which was really good fun. My parents came with me, so they got to see the film for the first time, which was really nice.
Oh, what was their reaction? Because it's not the Winnie the Pooh we all know, is it? It's-
No, it's definitely not what they were expecting, I think. But as a family, we all love horror films. So I think they kind of knew what they were getting themselves in for. And luckily, they really enjoyed the film. And we're planning to probably go and see it again as a family sometime this week. So if they're willing to see it twice, that's a good sign.
okay, yeah, indeed. So yeah, what were your first thoughts when you read the script?
Yeah, so when I read the script, my first thought was, wow, this is crazy. This is a
Mhm.
wild ride, but I love it. I think it's so rare nowadays to find like a really unique concept for a film because most of the scripts that are out there, especially like in the independent world, there's a lot of kind of remakes or spin-offs, prequels, sequels, and not that many original ideas. So when I read the script for this, I realized this is a genuinely unique idea. And I love the concept of like taking a childhood character and giving it a horror twist because those characters are aimed at children. And now all of a sudden, by bringing them into a horror setting, you're kind of redefining the characters for an adult audience, which I think is
Mhm.
really nice. And I read the script and I was like, oh, this is a really cool story. It's something that I never thought I would do as an actor, being able to have a face off with some of my favorite childhood characters, Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. So I was really intrigued. I was offered the role of Alice, who's one of the leads in the film, and she's a really wonderful role. She's in an LGBT relationship, so it was really nice to have the opportunity to bring representation to the screen as well.
Was there one of the key aspects of your character that you liked about it, and that's why you want to take on the role as well?
Yeah, so there was two reasons why I wanted to be involved in the film. The first
Hmm.
one, like I said, is because it was such a unique idea,
Hmm.
and the second reason was just because of who Alice is as a person. So, like I said, I think representation and showing diversity in films is incredibly important, whether that's to
Hmm.
do with gender, ethnicity, or sexuality. And I find that in a lot of films, when there's an LGBTQ plus character, it's kind of their defining feature and it has to be shouted about and projected. Whereas in this script, it felt very authentic. And I really, really liked that. And I thought, this is amazing. If I can be a part of this film, which is going to be a teeny piece of the Winnie the Pooh history. And within that teeny tiny piece, I'm bringing to life a character which hopefully so many people can relate to. And I thought it's quite a blessing, to be honest. It's like an honor to be able to play one of these characters where people may not have necessarily seen themselves authentically represented on screen.
Hmm.
So yeah, I'd say those were the two things that made me want to get involved.
Okay. And yeah, Alice goes on like kind of like a holiday-ish, like getaway with friends.
Yeah.
All strong female characters as well. How was it to perform with those wonderful actresses?
Yes, so it was great fun. I always love it whenever I see a script and it's like a female-led cast. I think that's really important, and especially for horror films. It's one of those things where I feel like it is becoming a thing, and it's really nice. I think we need to support females in film, whether that's in front of the camera or behind the camera, and it's always a pleasure being able to work with other talented women. So I had a great time.
Good. And so what was the first scene you filmed encountering Winnie the Pooh or Piglet?
Yeah, so I think very first scene, it's when we're all in the cabin and the lights go out and we look outside and we see this mysterious figure go past the door and it's Pooh. And then that leads into a scene which is in the trailer, which is where my character Alice and her girlfriend Zoe are in the swimming pool. It's like an indoor swimming pool, so it's kind of like a greenhouse with a pool. And basically Piglet comes in and he kills Alice's girlfriend in the pool with the sledgehammer that's in the trailer. So bye bye Zoe, and then they basically take Alice hostage. So that was one of the very first scenes that we filmed, which was very intense. But it was a lot of fun, and I think it was kind of cool that we went straight in with some of the more intense scenes because it helps you get really immersed in the character. I think when you have either emotionally or physically challenging scenes first, and after that day, I was like, right, okay, let's do this. I'm ready for the rest of the film. Let's be terrorized by Pooh and Piglet. Why not?
Great. So yeah, without trying to spoil the ending, like the face-off scene right at the end is incredible. So what was it for you to film that?
So that was definitely the most enjoyable scene for me to film. When I read the script, I got to that part and I was like, okay, this is it. This is Alice's defining moment in the script. And obviously, after Piglet kills her girlfriend, she has to get revenge. Her girlfriend's I think probably the biggest love of her life. And I think anyone who's lost a loved one, they want to avenge that in some way. So she's hell bent on revenge basically against Piglet. And Well, she has this scene where she has a chance to, exact that revenge. And Chris Cordell, who plays Piglet, he was a great scene partner. It was physically a challenging scene because I was wielding Piglet's sledgehammer, which is very heavy. Like it was actually metal and it weighed a lot, which I wasn't expecting. I probably should have gone to the gym and done some weights beforehand. But it was really enjoyable, and that was towards the end of the film, I think. So it was interesting that we had my character's girlfriend's death scene at the beginning and then my kind of big face-off scene at the end. It was like the two really enjoyable scenes that we had, and then all of these nice character development buildy bits in the middle with lots of dialogue, and then these two kind of action scenes bookending the shoot, which was really cool and definitely my favorite moves from the filming experience.
Ah, great. And so what was the first time you actually read like a Winnie the Pooh, the story of him? When was that?
So honestly, I can't tell you. I was incredibly young. I had all of the cuddly toys. I remember every Christmas. I think Disney put out a new Winnie the Pooh bear with like the year on the foot, and he had like a Christmas hat and like a Santa sack. And every year my parents would get me those toys. I had all of the games. I'd watched all of the films. I had A.A. Milne's books. I remember my mother reading them to me when I was still at primary school, so very, very young. But yeah, I'd say that Winnie the Pooh was a really big part of my childhood, actually. It was definitely one of my favorite characters. So yeah, I never thought that I would be terrorized by him as an adult. That was definitely a surprise when I saw the script.
Um, did you also like try on the mask as well? Were you allowed to do that?
So I didn't actually have the opportunity to try on the mask, but I would have loved to try it on. It was one of those where it wasn't the easiest application process. So when Craig, who plays Pooh, when he put the mask on at the beginning of a filming day, he'd normally keep it on in between takes unless there was like a long lunch break, and then obviously he'd take it off. But as far as I'm aware, I don't think anyone else got to try it on. But now I wish I had. Like that would have been so cool wearing Pooh's mask.
Yeah. Yes. And apart from like an actress, you're also like writer and producer. What is
Yes.
it if you want to produce a film? What are you like on the lookout for when reading someone else's work?
Yep. So I think, like I said earlier, to me, there's two things that I look for in a script. I want it to be something original, something unique, something that I've not seen before. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a completely unique concept. It can be a concept that's been done before, a story that's been told many times, but I always look for a twist, something that makes it different, or even an ending that you wouldn't expect. Alongside that, like I said, representation, diversity, I think is really important. So female-driven stories, I really enjoy reading. Anything about minority ethnicities, anything to do with like, for example, I read something recently, it was a short film to do with the gender pay gap, but then it kind of turned into a psychological thriller. And I was like, that's
Okay.
actually a really cool idea. And I feel like it's really fitting with everything that's going on in the world at the moment, and all of these actresses that are coming forward saying that they're getting paid less than their male counterparts. And the film was basically taking that concept to an extreme. Like, what if an actress has just had enough and they go on a killing rampage because of it? And I thought, well, that's certainly a unique idea.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, so tonight is the Oscar night. Are you going to watch?
Oh,
Yeah.
of course, I have to watch every year. I think as an actress, since I was a child, I like to tune into all of them. I had the pleasure of going to the BAFTAs recently, which is the
Oh, okay.
British
Hmm.
Academy Film and Television Awards, and that was just the most magical evening. Being in the room with so much talent, it's so inspiring. And for me, even watching the Oscars, watching the Golden Globes, I get goosebumps when I'm watching the winners give their speeches, and it just really motivates me. And I think it's so nice to see film celebrated. And with everything that's going on in the world at the moment, the war in Ukraine, the earthquakes, there's a lot for people to worry about. So I think it's really important that we have these evenings where we can kind of celebrate film, celebrate everyone's creations, and just have one evening where everyone can kind of relax and just be happy and appreciate what we've achieved in the last year. So I will definitely be watching, and I
No,
can't wait.
so yeah, I just got one last question. What is next for you when it comes to like next films?
Yes. So I'm really, really grateful. I've got quite a few projects coming up this year. So the next one that I'm working on, I'm really excited, is called The Baby in the Basket. It's a psychological thriller, and the concept is basically that a baby is left in a basket, as it says in the
Mhm.
title, on the steps of a monastery, and a group of nuns take in the baby. I'm one of the nuns. And within the first couple of nights, there's some very strange occurrences, which leads my character to believe that the baby is actually the child of the devil. And
Okay.
interesting things occur. The other nuns think that I'm going crazy. Perhaps some spirit possesses me. There's a lot going on. There's so many twists and turns for my characters. It's probably going to be one of the most challenging roles that I've played, but I love a good challenge, so I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
I recently filmed a comedy short film, which is going to be doing the festival circuit this summer. And it's a story about growth and acceptance between ex-partners. So it's a couple, boyfriend and girlfriend, who've broken up 6 months ago, and they bump into each other again. And it's the battle between their inner emotions and the new person that they've become since the breakup. So I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to that. And then finally, I'm working on a project called Dying Breed, kind of as a co-writer, producer, and playing the lead female role as well. And that's a Viking film about the end of Slavic paganism. So very, very different to the other films that I've worked on. It's a really lovely story. It's about, basically, it's like a battle for love, a battle for freedom, a battle for belief. It's a lovely mix of genres. So I'd say it's mainly a drama, but there's action, there's comedy, there's a bit of everything. And I've always been really passionate about historical films and medieval films, especially when you can, it's based on true facts, actually, the true history of Ukraine. So yeah, I'm really, really excited for that one, because it's, like I said, something different to what I've done before. So I think that's going to be a real pleasure to film. And we're looking for investments and funding at the moment. So hopefully this time next year we'll be in production.
Oh, well, I'm going to look out for all those films. They all sound great.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for the interview. And yeah, good luck with the films.
You know, you're the first person I ever shown this place to.
And why am I so special?
Because soon we'll be Christopher and Mary Robin. We should be close now.
We're not going to find them.
We will. Pooh, Piglet, Eeyore, we were friends for many years, and they're out there.
Christopher, we need to leave. Now.
I really need to find out what's happened here, okay?
This place is kind of cool. And did you say it has a pool?
We need to go. There's Laura's dead. There's someone else outside. What was that?
We used to be friends. Why are you doing this, please? I would have never left, I swear, I swear.